All right, kids, here we go. Welcome back to 3 Zen. This morning I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple experiences at Vance Air Force Base. The first thing I want to do is acknowledge our mid-level supervisors. These were a few captains in an 8 to 10 year group that were just fantastic guys. I just love working with these guys. I learned so much about the operation from them, and quite a bit about officership, about flight commander techniques, and so forth. There was Hal and Jimmy and Sam and Bob and Andy and Al, and I'll tell you a story about each one of these guys as we continue on here. Just great guys. They all knew how the cow ate the cabbage. Anyway, this morning I'm going to talk to you about a couple experiences Bob had with his ops specialists. Now, this ops specialist was a female right out of tech school, blonde-haired gal, nice enough, but she was only half bright at that time. Who knows whatever? I don't have any clue whatever happened to her. But anyway, she was on duty one day at the close of our flying operation, and Bob walks outside to just kind of take a breather and kind of enjoy the sunset. Now, the sunsets in Oklahoma were magnificent, just all colors of the rainbows, just gorgeous. So Bob's standing out there looking at the sunset when she saddles up alongside of him, starts to admire the sunset herself. And at some point, she makes a comment to him. She says, "You know, Captain B," she says, "the sunsets out here in Oklahoma are so much prettier than what we have in Georgia." And she stands there for a minute thinking. She says, "I think that's because we're closer to where the sun actually goes down." Bob had never heard anything so profound. So he looks over at her and he says, "Yeah," he says, "you should see the sunsets in Hawaii." He says, "They're just really magnificent." And she thinks for a minute and she says, "You know, I'll bet they are." And they just left it at that. A couple days later, Bob's in the squadron at Old Dark 30, opening up the flying operation, briefing the crews for the RSU. That's the Runway Supervisory Unit. We called it the little house on the prairie. And she's doing her thing over there, whatever her duties were. And then at some point she looks over at Bob and she says, "You know, Captain B," she says, "the mornings go so much easier when you have a couple beers before you come in." And Bob looks at her and goes, "You, out of here." He just threw her off the desk. I can't make this up. My only experience with her was one evening I was on a cross country. And when we would fly into a base, an out base, to spend the night, we had to call back to the squadron and advise them that we had landed, how much time we logged during that day, and so forth, that we were safe and the airplane was buttoned up and all that. The problem at Cannon Air Force Base, in base operations, they only had one phone. I knew that from having had to stand in line, wait for the phone. But I knew through my experience in C-141s that I could contact the command post and get a phone patch back to the squadron and kind of bypass that. So I'm taxiing in with a student. I said, "You want to see something real slick?" And he said, of course he did. So I said, "Watch this." So I went over to command post frequency, called them, and requested a phone patch back to Vance. And boy, I thought I had this thing nailed until she answered the phone. I explained to her who I was, something like, "Vance Ops, this is Cheetah," or no, we weren't Cheetah then, that's San Antonio. We were Randolph. We were Duke. So it would have been Duke 17 with a arrival message from Cannon. And she says, "Sir, I'm not allowed to talk to airplanes," and she hung up on me. The student I was flying with says, "Real slick, Captain, just real slick." Once again, nice to see you here in 3 Zen, and have a great day.